Welcome to Your Illini Nation pregame show. Bryce Stevens joined with Illini Inquirer's Derek Piper. Derek, thanks so much for being here. We both made a pretty long trip to be here today, about an 8-hour drive. How are you feeling after that long drive?
I'm doing all right. Got a lot of Diet Pepsis tonight. We can set a record. We got to get that caffeine flowing. But
yeah.
Hopefully the team's ready to go. They had a bounce back against Wisconsin. Hopefully build some consistency, but not too eventful of a drive through the heartland of America, huh?
All right, but let's talk about that matchup. Obviously, Illinois with a win, upset against Wisconsin at home. Obviously, Nebraska's kind of having a pretty good year so far this year. What do you see from this matchup with Illinois-Nebraska so far? What are your predictions with this game here?
It's a feisty Nebraska team. It's one that's played really well at home, and it's got a really nice road venue here for the fans to come out. And I think they'll be excited because you look at they played Purdue, top team in the league earlier this season back in December, and took them to overtime, had them on the ropes late, and just slipped away. But then Iowa came in. Chris Murray was just coming back from injury, but he played in that game, and they blew Iowa off the floor. They won by 15. And so this is a Husker squad that has the ability to be tough. They have a defense that is really physical, that can take away your actions in the paint. They want to double team the post, so Dane Dange is going to see a lot of double teams, and they're going to have to pass the ball out in this one. And then offensively, it's one that they don't shoot the three all that great. I don't think you have to worry too much about them shooting the lights out, but they are just a physical squad, going to hit the glass. And Illinois is just going to have the intensity up. And after a key bounce back win, I know it's natural to take a deep breath and be like, okay, things are all right. You want to get re-energized by that, not relax, because if you relax too much and overlook this game, you'll be in trouble.
I feel like that's kind of where Illinois has gotten in trouble, was kind of relaxing on those games. We've seen them do well against these top 20 teams in the nation each time and have good games against them. UCLA, Texas, Wisconsin, we've seen it now and then, kind of laying off maybe the brakes a little bit on some of these teams that maybe aren't as highly ranked. But I guess talking about Nebraska, Underwood earlier this week was talking about how it's going to be a bully ball game, basically. Yeah. I guess also Derek Walker down below, he's averaging 14.5 points per game. What do you expect to see with this game? You said it's going to be pretty physical. Do you think a Dane Dange matchup with Derek maybe going into this game?
Yeah, it's a big matchup for sure. Derek Walker, a big key to their team, and a guy that 6'9". I know he's not similar to Dane, not your traditional 7-foot size at the center position, but one that really gets after with his tenacity, the way that he's able to finish with either hand, and he's going to battle again on the glass. This is a team in Nebraska that really gets after. You look at the Purdue game; they had 19 offensive rebounds in that game. Iowa, they had 14 offensive rebounds, so they're really looking for second chances, and those are those battles for loose balls and effort, energy, physicality that Illinois is going to have to match. So, and it's not even just down low either. Sam Griesel's a 6'7" point guard, transfer in from North Dakota State that we saw Jalen Pickett, a bigger point guard for Penn State, kind of body up Illinois' smaller guards. We'll see if Illinois has a different answer for that tonight. I think that without them switching as much, Terrence Shannon Jr. probably draws that matchup a decent amount. So I do think it is one of those where if you're not up for that intensity, physicality, then you're going to be playing from behind tonight. Hopefully Illinois is ready for that challenge.
And obviously Illinois does have two smaller guards, Jaden Epps, Sincere Harris, obviously Terrence Shannon Jr. We can get to him in just a moment. But, we saw Jaden have a pretty good game off the bench pretty much right away. Do you think he's in that starting spot in the lineup this week, or for this matchup tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he might get that draw against Wisconsin, but Sincere, he's just impressed Brad that much in the way that he's able to defend and bring that energy early on. I think that as long as he continues to do that and Brad feels good about it, Jaden's still going to play starter quality minutes. He's still going to get up there near 30 minutes a game. He had 29 against Wisconsin, scored 15 points, really got downhill. I do think these guys clean up the turnovers a little bit. That was something later in the game where he got a little bit sloppy, and I know it's good for a freshman to kind of have some teaching moments after a win. So in a game that's projected to be tight, you're on the road, maybe you get in those closing moments, and he's going to have to be solid with the ball. But I expect Jaden to continue to play well, and they're going to need a lot from him as you push forward.
You mentioned turnovers. Illinois has kind of had an issue with turnovers this year, exception of the Wisconsin game, and that's when they brought up the new offense, everything. I guess just what are your overall thoughts with how that new offense looked that Brad has kind of tried to been implementing, and it seemed to work against Wisconsin last game?
Yeah, it definitely did. The ball movement, the player movement that you really wanted. It was a team that just played cohesively, played like they were on the same page, and they were able to get guys shots in rhythm. The three-pointers that they took weren't forced. They weren't isolation shots. Went 10 of 19 from three. Of course, Coleman Hawkins making 6 of those was a big part of that. So I just think the way that they were able to play inside out, they got guards downhill, Terrence Shannon, Jaden Epps, that opened up things on the perimeter. Dane Danger as well, post touches, playing outside of that. So I love the movement. I think it was a team that finally had something click. I know Brad's mentioned they've looked pretty good in practice, but having it translate to the games was something that had been a challenge for them. So I like that progress, and we'll see if it keeps up and continue to push forward in tonight's game.
And obviously, like you said, they were finding better shots, and Brad Underwood has been talking about Coleman Hawkins getting open for shots for all year so far. He's been just begging him to shoot the ball. He looked a little hesitant, I felt like, at the beginning of Wisconsin game. There were a couple times where the crowd was screaming at him to shoot it, and he passed it off. And then obviously he lit up and had the second most points of the game. But I guess just what are your thoughts on which Coleman Hawkins do you think we're going to see tonight? The shooter, or do you think he's going to be hesitant? Well, I guess what are your thoughts with that?
You got to have him start to build that consistency with his confidence. I think his confidence and composure was really good. That was encouraging things to take away from Wisconsin. It's a guy that is on some NBA draft boards for a reason. He's just really talented, and Brad's trying to continue to instill more and more confidence. His teammates have said it too. Look, we want to have Coleman shoot the ball. We'll live with those results. They believe he's that good of a shooter, and it's really about him taking good ones, because some of the threes that he has taken, maybe a little bit too far out there on the floor, maybe closer to half court than you'd want, or taking them off the dribble. So as you look at Nebraska, the way that they want to crash the paint, like I mentioned, doubling the post, they also want to take away driving lanes. It's almost like they dare you to make those threes, and I think that Coleman Hawkins is one of those guys, what he showed after Wisconsin. Hopefully has that momentum going into this game, and we'll be able to shoot with confidence and make those tonight as well.
And lastly, Terrence Shannon Jr., obviously, he's been a force to reckon with for Illinois, but he had a little bit of a slow patch, but so did the whole Illinois team during kind of the holiday period there. I guess I kind of felt like he had a little bit more of a spark to him, a little bit more of that leadership role that Brad was talking about last game. Do you kind of think this is a turning point for Terrence and even Illinois, just getting that win over Wisconsin and kind of having a change of pace? And even Brad said himself he was happy with the fight that he's finally seeing from his team.
Yeah, I definitely think it can be for this team. They're going to have to obviously come out and perform tonight to be able to build that forward momentum, because you drop this one, you're 1-4 in the Big Ten, and that would be some tough sledding going forward. But I think for Terrence, it was great to see his aggressiveness early. I know he's even said that there's been a tendency sometimes for him to try to make the right play, and when they take away his drives, he wants to pass it off. But they need him getting to the free throw line, being aggressive with his athleticism, and 24 points was the most he's scored since the UCLA game, where obviously put up 28 or 29 against the Bruins and made all those threes. So Terrence has been there before, playing in a tough league in the Big 12 last year. And as you go on the road, as you play night in and night out, you need to be able to rely on a veteran like Terrence Shannon Jr. So I would look for that as a building block for him. But for this team, we're really going to find out, because I think it's one where all of a sudden you win this game, you go home against Michigan State. Michigan State, by the way, up right now in Wisconsin at the Kohl Center. Michigan State could improve to 4-1 in the league and really put themselves in a nice position. That'd be a huge game in Champaign on Friday. Illinois could get back to 3-3 from 0-3 real quick. Or if you drop this, you're 1-4 and probably squarely on the NCAA tournament bubble early in the season.
Yeah, it's somewhere Illinois fans do not want to see them be right now. But obviously, Nebraska, I kind of feel like, they're having a pretty decent season right now. What do you kind of think are your overall thoughts on how this game's going to go? I guess I'll give you your over-under here. What do you see that is going? What do you think is going to happen tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska's a team that really doesn't have anything to lose. They don't have a ton of expectations. They do have some older guys coming in there, transfers that are kind of new to the scene here. They're just trying to make some noise. They're trying to be feisty. They're trying to upset some people. And Illinois is a team that was projected towards the top of the league going in, so I think they will play pretty well. They'll be good defensively. It will be, like Brad said, a physical battle, but I think it will be tight. Look at the point spread. It's like 3.5 right now for Illinois.
Okay.
I know it was tight in a similar fashion against Northwestern. Obviously didn't go well for you, but Illinois on the road trying to get that first road win. I think they get it tonight. I have 72-66 Illinois. 66.
I'm going to go. I meant to think about this beforehand, and I didn't think about it, but I was thinking about asking you about it, but not myself. I'm going to go with 66-63. Illinois.
All right.
I'm going to go with Illinois winning this time. I called Wisconsin last time. I'm going to call Illinois this time. But I guess just final thoughts overall, Illinois, I feel like I'm trying to watch the warm-ups a little bit. What do you think, I guess, is going to happen? Do you think they're going to be fired up? Do you think it's going to be the same team that we saw earlier this season against Wisconsin, or do you think it's going to be a slow start for them? It's going to be a physical game for sure.
Yeah, I think that as you look out tonight, I mean, we can only glean so much from warm-ups, but it does seem like a team that is confident, that is having energy, and I don't think they're going to just all of a sudden forget about the tough losses they took to Missouri, Northwestern, and Penn State, just kind of as a motivating factor. Like if we relax, if we don't stay together, if we don't try to boost each other up, we could be back in a similar hole that we were. So they should be motivated to continue to climb this thing up. They have big goals. They want to be able to be a factor once again in that Big Ten title chase and prove their stock for the NCAA tournament. So I'd expect them to fight tonight, but I think that Nebraska will be able to bring it on the other side, and we'll just see if Illinois is able to execute well enough on the road.
All right, Derek. Well, thanks so much for being here, and obviously make sure to tune into our post-game show later on after the game on all of our social media channels and our website as well. But Derek, thanks again so much, and we'll see you guys later on after the game.